From the world of AV programming and control with James King, I'm Steve Greenblatt, and this is Ask the Programmer. Hey, James, good to be with you. And this is a special episode that we're going to be doing an announcement. So I'll let you share that with everyone.
Thank you, Steve. It's always great to be with you. And I'm excited for this announcement, this special episode. It's something I feel you and I have been chomping at the bit to do. And our friend Chris Netto finally has handed over the reins and allowing us to do a AV and the AM takeover.
Which is very super cool. So Ask the Programmer in particular is going to be doing an AV and the AM takeover on Sunday, April 16th. So we're going to be releasing this episode on April 9th. So there's only a few days to get ready and participate. And we want to encourage our community to really show up in full force and be there to support this conversation. And if you haven't listened to the AV and the AM and Chris Netto episodes, those are episodes 46 and 47 in our catalog. So please check those out as well, and you'll get to hear some of the background. But James, you and I virtually met on AV and the AM, and we spend a lot of Sundays there together. And we've talked a lot about why it matters to us and why this is something that we are willing to put our time into on Sundays. Sometimes could be a couple of hours. Why should our listeners join?
If they haven't listened to our other episodes about it, they really should go back and listen to those. But really, we as programmers, we always say, we're on an island. We don't have many like-minded people that we can communicate with. And AV and the AM is a good way of getting our voices out there. I know for me, it's been a stepping stone that has more than a stepping stone. It has been I would say like a springboard of my career and saw things by all I did was make a comment and things have blown up from there. So I feel that can help our listeners, our programmers out there. It's a wider audience. If you're only sitting there talking to other programmers, especially if you're only talking to your team or people very close to you, you're in an echo chamber, and you're only going to hear back what you already know, maybe learn a little bit here and there. But if you expand your circle and put it out there into the ether, you're no longer in an echo chamber, but you can actually get more resources, more information, more direction, and maybe even give you like, hey, I never thought about doing it that way. Now that's something we can try.
I think a lot of what AV and the AM also thrives on is some debate. Not everybody agrees, which makes for a good conversation. And sometimes there's a little bit of friction and a little bit of back and forth, but I think it's healthy. Healthy conflict produces ideas and opens minds. So I agree with you with that. I kind of look at it as almost like reading the Sunday paper in AV. So you're really kind of getting an idea of the landscape of what are people thinking, what are people interested in, what's the trends, what are the pain points and the nerves that are being struck by some of these conversations, because we have a lot of unfiltered discussion. Even though it is on Twitter and it is open to the world, it's really great because we really kind of focus in on our own community.
Yeah, like you said, it's open in the world, but it is focused on our community. But there are other people who are not part of the AV community who have taken part. And I think you hit a good point there is a platform like this allows programmers to hear some of the pain points of our users or salespeople or engineering who the program may not hear about those pain points otherwise. But here's a good avenue to you could hear it and interact and maybe learn and be like, hey, I can solve that with a programming solution. This is their pain point and I can solve it.
I agree with that. And plus, if you turn it on its side, you could also allow this to be a platform for programmers to discuss their pain points and try to see how we can get closer to resolutions. What are the things that make programming more difficult? Maybe clarify what goes into the amount of time and effort and sometimes cost that is a result from programming, and why there needs to be more attention paid, and what can make things easier, and where there can be more respect, or where we could smooth over the edges. So I think that for me, that's why I'm so excited about this, and I hope that our community shows up, because you and I are going to really try to drive that conversation, but it needs all of us to be able to chime in and to make this a powerful demonstration of the not only the importance of programming, but the knowledge and perspective of programmers.
100% agree. And I'll put a little challenge out to our listeners, our fans out there is we all know I'm a member of HEPMA. We all know HEPMA has done multiple AV and AM takeovers if you are a part of AV and AM. And you'll know that every time they take over, they reach 6 million or more impression. Let's kick them down. We can do better. Us programmers, we can hit those 7-8 million impression. So I'm putting the challenge out there to our listeners.
There you go. I appreciate that. Let's do it. Let's do that. So we're not only when you post, use the hashtag AV in the AM, but also use the hashtag Ask the Programmer, because that's how we're going to know where you're from and that you're listening, and that we're getting visibility for this community. And what we're also going to ask is, if you have topics that you hope for us to cover, we get 5 questions or 5 discussion topics that we're going to be presenting. And James and I are going to be meeting later this week to really firm those up. Please share, reach out to us, let us know what you hope we will include there, what you think will be something that would be valuable. And think of it not only in terms of your perspective, but also in terms of what's going to make the most conversation.
Yes, and as you mentioned, if you have a question you think would be a good topic for us to discuss on that platform, reach out to us. Because we do have a short deadline, please have any of that stuff to us by April 12th, which is Wednesday. I know short notice, but again, hit us up and with your questions, and we'll meet and get those over to Chris.
And we'll also say that if you DM us on Sunday, and we have some stickers to send out, so we want to make sure that we acknowledge those who are participating, so we can get you some stickers. But let's make a good showing, and let's try to not only help to promote the Ask the Programmer hashtag, but also help to promote the visibility of programmers and those things that pertain to programmers, because that's really what this podcast is all about: building community. And as we say all the time, this is your chance to get off that island. James, how can people get in touch with you and learn more about what you're up to, and talk about how they can get involved with AV in the AM this Sunday?
So you can find me on Twitter, AV _James King. Definitely DM me if you have any questions, comments. I'm on LinkedIn, James King, but I'm not that active as much. To get involved with AV in the AM, all you really have to do is follow the hashtag AV in the AM. The questions post around 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And like Steve said, the conversations can go all day and sometimes spill into Monday.
And the thing too to remember is, even though there's a certain number of active participants. There's a lot of lurkers, and there's a lot of people that read this thread. So please remember that it is important and it can really make a difference. For me, you can reach me at Steve Greenblatt on social media, and my company Control Concepts at controlconcepts.net, and as well as some of the writings that I do for different publications. But for this episode, this is a special one. We wanted to get it out to you because of its timeliness. Please, please show up on Sunday, on April 16th at 8 a.m., as James said. Get on Twitter and let us know that you're there. And we will welcome you personally, and we hope that you will really chime into the conversation, because we want to make sure that we represent us well, and our community is going to thrive with this opportunity that Chris is giving us to take over AV in the AM. So please check that out. As you know, for this podcast, you can watch us on YouTube. You can listen on Google and Apple Podcasts through your favorite podcast player. And we always want to hear from you. So please reach out. And with that, this has been a special episode of Ask the Programmer.